I was always joking, nothing serious, and again, on this occasion, I don't remember what I said, but it wouldn't have been anything too terrible. When I stepped into the elevator with that guard, the door closed behind him, but we didn't go anywhere because he didn't push the button. Then he got right in my face. He was 4 or 5 inches shorter than me, and for the first time, I saw his eyes. This guy was clearly stoned out of his mind. His eyes were glazed over, his pupils looked like dots. He simultaneously looked like he was ready to fall asleep and like he was ready to rip my throat out. He got right in my face and he said, "Go ahead and move. Move any part of your body. Just move and see what happens." Now, you might not know what that meant to an inmate in that jail, but when the guards were doing shakedowns, when they would search the dorm or cells for contraband, they would take us out into the hall and make us get on our knees with our foreheads against the wall and our hands behind our backs while they threw all our stuff all over the place. It wasn't a comfortable position, but a guard would always announce, "Any movement you make or any sound you make will be interpreted as an act of aggression against us." I once saw an inmate put that announcement to the test. We were on our knees with our foreheads against the wall and our hands behind our backs, and the guards warned us, "Any movement you make or any sound you make will be interpreted as an act of aggression." One guy, I used to play chess with him, one guy laughed pretty quietly and shook his head a little. The guards pounced on him. I couldn't look over there because if I had turned my head, it would have been interpreted as an act of aggression. But with my peripheral vision, I could see his dreadlocks flying around as the guards folded this guy up like they were doing origami. Never saw him again. Some of you are thinking, well, they warned him that they would interpret any sound or movement as an act of aggression, but that's not the point. Here's the point. Did they really think that him chuckling and shaking his head a little was an act of aggression? Of course not. They wanted to remind us that they were in charge and that they had complete power over us. And they proved their point. Back to the elevator. When this guard was daring me to move any part of my body, I knew what he meant. He meant that if I moved any part of my body, he was going to interpret it as an act of aggression. He was going to bash my head in and then say that I had attacked him. So I stood there, probably the most still I'd ever been in my entire life, and I stared at the wall while this guard taunted me. He finally pushed the button and we went back to my floor. The takeaway that day was that this man could do anything he wanted to me and that there was nothing I could do about it. That was a fairly new feeling for me. I'd had police and guards mess with me before, but their message had never been so perfectly clear. Now, in other circumstances in life, I always felt like I had a fighting chance. Even if 7 people were attacking me, I would at least be allowed to fight back. Here, I wasn't allowed to defend myself. I wasn't allowed to move. I wasn't allowed to whisper. This man could do anything he wanted, and I would be the one who got in trouble for it.